I usually repeat in these broadcasts only things that I witnessed or I was there, something that happened to me, to my parents, also things that I heard from the person himself who it happened to. But now I'm going to tell over something that the general thing we saw, but the details is just something that was floating around in 770 at that time. And that is concerning a Yechidus that took place on Thursday night, the Dalad Oder Sheni, Tovshin Chov Zayin, which is 1967. When we saw, this is what we saw, that a group of Elter Chassidim went into the Rebbe to Yechidus. This was Reb Nissen Telushkin, Reb Shmuel Witten, Reb Berl Rifkin, Reb Zalman Duchman, Reb Yisrael Jacobson, possibly, I don't remember, maybe it was Rabbi Kazanovsky also, I don't remember, and we saw them go into Yechidus, that we saw. But obviously what's spoken about was something that only they knew. But later on we heard the background and we heard what happened. And maybe some of the details are not so, but this is the way it was floating around in 770. That the Rebbetzin had said to one of the Elter Chassidim that the Rebbe lately is not taking care of his health. I guess she said he's not eating and drinking enough, not taking care of himself, not sleeping enough. So she asked that someone speak to the Rebbe, the Elter Chassidim, to speak to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe should watch his health. So they came to Rabbi Chadakov and they told Rabbi Chadakov that this group wants to go and speak to the Rebbe. The way the story goes, that they didn't tell Rabbi Chadakov what it's about. Rabbi Chadakov said he's going to speak to the Rebbe as the Rebbe. He asked the Rebbe and the Rebbe agreed, not knowing what they want. Now, to go in and speak to the Rebbe, giving the Rebbe, so to speak, advice, how he should behave is something that's a big risk, because by the Rebbe we know you can't give the Rebbe advice. So they took a risk, but they thought they'll try. They went into Yechidus that night. That's what was going around in 770 that happened. They didn't know how the Rebbe is going to receive them. The Rebbe didn't know what they want. They went in and the Rebbe looked at them, smiled at them, I think that's what they said. And the Rebbe asked them, no, what do they want? So the main speaker was Reb Nissen Telushkin. I think he was the oldest. I think it was even older than Reb Shmuel, I'm not sure, but I think he was the one that spoke. And he started explaining to the Rebbe how the world needs the Rebbe. We all need the Rebbe. And b'meile, they're bringing out that the Rebbe should watch his health, take care of his health. And the Rebbe said to them, so what do you mean? What do you want me to do? So they said, well, the Rebbe Fabrings a lot, and Fabringen is a very big strain, especially on Shabbos. So the Rebbe said, okay, he'll do it less maybe. L'peil he didn't. L'peil then he Fabringed a lot, Fabringed long hours, etc., etc. But he said, okay, that he could do. Then they said that the Rebbe goes very often to the Eil, and that's very hard, especially when it's cold. So the Rebbe said to them that he doesn't go so often. He goes Erev Rosh Chodesh, that's where you're supposed to go. Then it says in Mishnah Chassidim you should go Tesvov, and Molamoli goes more, but it's not so much, he said. And in the gay, what you say, it's cold? He said, no, it's not so cold. And he says, you see Reb Zalman, he's pointed to Reb Zalman Duchman, also goes very often to the Eil. Ask him, he says, it's not so cold. And then it's not so hard, you could go to the Eil. And then he says, but Bechlal, that I should minimize in going to Eil is not possible, because I have to carry this whole burden on myself. I mean, the Rabbis, it's my responsibility, I can't not. And he said, you said yourself before that you need a Rebbe, I also need a Rebbe. In other words, the Rebbe was saying that by him going to the Eil, that's how he has the Rebbe. So he said that to minimize in going to the Eil, that's not going to happen, because he needs a Rebbe, and this is how he has the Rebbe. And Benegay, what you say that I don't eat or drink enough, so he says, it's not so. I eat as well as everyone else. He says lately there happened certain things. I guess the Rebbe wasn't feeling so well. So when I realized that, I started taking more careful. I was more careful about it. Then they also said that the Rebbe takes Yechidus. It takes a long time, a lot of time. It takes away Kayach from the Rebbe. So the Rebbe said, true, in that union of Yechidus, I stopped. Used to be 3 times a week. Now I only take Yechidus, take people 2 times a week, so it's much easier. And he gave an example. The Moshel tonight, 29 people are supposed to enter Yechidus tonight, and I will make it brief. So he said, yes, that stock is something that's becoming less. But B'chlolis, the Rebbe received them nicely, not the way they were afraid that maybe the Rebbe is going to be upset. Why are you mixing into my business, telling me what to do? He received them, and this is the way the story was that the Rebbe said to them. So again, the fact that they went in, we know. What was said then, and the background behind it is something only that we heard that was floating around 770 at that time.